beginning of the 1990s, East Coast hip-hop was much more than music. It was the voice of the streets, a chronicle of social and economic turmoil, and a platform for artistic introspection. New York, the city of contrasts and concrete jungles, was the epicenter of a cultural transformation. While the Bronx still bore the scars of the urban decay of the 1980s, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island were becoming arenas for lyricism that would shape the sound of an entire decade. East Coast hip-hop of the 1990s brought a return to its roots, a focus on lyrics, storytelling, and the recognizable boom-bap production. Unlike the more party-oriented vibe of the 1980s, MCs now told real-life stories about poverty, violence, hope, and resistance. Albums like Nas, Illmatic, 1994, The Notorious B.I.G, Ready to Die, 1994, and Wu-Tang Clan, Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, 1993, set new standards for lyricism and production, shaping not only the East Coast, but the entire hip-hop world. The evolution of the East Coast sound was inseparable from the socio-economic context of New York. Gentrification, high crime rates, and social injustice in urban centers created a reality that MCs transformed into street poetry. Brooklyn produced legends like the Notorious B.I.G. and Jay-Z, who told stories rooted in street life, hustling, and ambition. Each borough contributed its unique perspective, giving East Coast hip-hop a rich, multi-layered identity. Biggie's smooth flow and vivid storytelling turned street tales into poetry. His debut album, Ready to Die, captured both the pain and pride of growing up in Brooklyn, making him a symbol of East Coast resilience. With his larger-than-life presence and lyrical mastery, Biggie became the voice of an entire generation and one of the cornerstones of 1990s hip-hop. Jay-Z brought a hustler's mindset and sharp lyricism, turning his life experience into entrepreneurial art. His debut, Reasonable Doubt, reflected the sophistication and ambition of a new generation, rising from Brooklyn's Marcy projects beyond his early albums. Jay-Z's storytelling, clever wordplay, and business acumen helped him become a model for MCs who wanted to combine street credibility with mainstream success. Over the years, he not only shaped the sound of East Coast hip-hop, but also demonstrated how an artist could transform personal struggle into cultural and economic influence. Nas was the introspective voice of the Queensbridge projects. His rhymes were not only chronicles of life in concrete jungles, but also poetic and philosophical reflections on everyday reality. Illmatic is still considered one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time because it redefined the role of the MC, not just as an entertainer, but as a thinker, storyteller, and social commentator. While lyricists like Nas and Biggie shaped the intellectual and storytelling side of East Coast rap, another force was rising from the streets, a raw, explosive wave of hardcore energy. Wu-Tang Clan brought a chaotic, martial arts-inspired philosophy and a rugged Shaolin sound that forever changed the texture of New York hip-hop. With albums like Enter the Wu-Tang, 36 Chambers, 1993, and Wu-Tang Forever, 1997. Onyx amplified that aggression with their shouted delivery and rebellious attitude, capturing the raw anger of early 90s street life in albums like Back the Fuck Up, 1993, and All We Got Is Us, 1995. M.O.P. pushed the intensity even further, delivering pure adrenaline with their loud, unapologetic style on albums like To the Death, 1994, and Firing Squad, 1996. Together, these groups defined the gritty, hard-hitting backbone of the 1990s East Coast scene, a sound that was rugged, loud, and unmistakably New York. Queensbridge's Mobb Deep painted some of the darkest and most realistic pictures of street life. Their album, The Infamous, 1995, became a blueprint for gritty, hardcore East Coast storytelling. Havoc's haunting production and Prodigy's cold, vivid lyricism captured the paranoia, survival, and raw emotion of inner-city life. Their music stripped away any glamour and showed the brutal honesty of the streets, solidifying Mobb Deep as one of the purest voices of 90s New York. From Harlem, Big L was one of the sharpest lyricists of the 1990s underground scene. His wordplay, punchlines, and effortless flow made him a rapper's rapper, respected by peers like Jay-Z and Fat Joe long before mainstream success. His debut Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous, 1995, became a cult classic, showcasing his wit and raw storytelling. Though his life was tragically cut short in 1999, Big L's legacy lives on as a symbol of pure lyrical mastery and unfulfilled potential in East Coast hip-hop. From the Bronx, Big Pun was the first Latino rapper to go platinum. His complex rhyme patterns and powerful delivery proved that lyrical excellence transcended background or language. Tracks like Still Not a Player showcased his ability to blend street toughness with humor and charisma. Though his life and career were tragically cut short, Big Pun opened doors for Latino artists in hip-hop and remains one of the most technically gifted MCs to ever hold a mic. Hailing from New Jersey, the Fugees brought soul, reggae, and socially conscious lyrics to the East Coast hip-hop scene. With their 1996 album The Score, they blended storytelling, powerful vocal performances, and infectious hooks, creating a sound that appealed to both the streets and the mainstream. Lauryn Hill's commanding presence and lyrical depth helped the group tackle themes of struggle, identity, and resilience, making the Fugees one of the most influential acts of the decade. Their fusion of genres and thoughtful message expanded the boundaries of what East Coast hip-hop could be. Method Man and Redman, the duo brought charisma, humor, and raw lyricism to the East Coast scene. Their chemistry on tracks and in performances made them one of hip-hop's most dynamic partnerships, blending street grit with pure entertainment. With albums like Blackout, 1999, they proved that lyrical skill could go hand in hand with fun and creativity. Their energy, wordplay, and stage presence helped bridge the gap between hardcore hip-hop and mainstream appeal, earning them a legendary status that still resonates today. Born in Brooklyn and raised in Long Island, Busta Rhymes burst onto the East Coast scene with a style unlike anything hip-hop had witnessed before. His rapid-fire flow, explosive delivery, and animated presence turned every verse into a controlled burst of chaos. Albums like The Coming, 1996, and When Disaster Strikes, 1997, showcased his ability to blend hardcore lyricism with humor, creativity, and futuristic visuals. Busta became the bridge between the underground and the mainstream, a larger-than-life MC whose energy and originality made him one of the most unforgettable figures of 1990s East Coast hip-hop. From Yonkers, DMX brought raw emotion and aggression back to East Coast hip-hop at the end of the decade. His gravelly voice and intense delivery made every verse sound like a battle between pain and redemption. With albums like It's Dark and Hell is Hot, 1998, and Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, 1998, he dominated charts and streets alike, becoming the voice of a new, darker era. DMX's honesty about struggle, faith, and survival reconnected hip-hop to its raw human core and reignited New York's spirit after Biggie's death. The East Coast was driven by labels like Def Jam, Loud Records, and Bad Boy Records, which represented both the creative and business power of hip-hop. Producers such as DJ Premier, Raza, and Pete Rock crafted the signature East Coast sound, aggressive yet melodic. Built upon complex jazz and soul samples, their beats represented the true soul of the streets. We've already explored the legacy of a tribe called Quest, Gangstar, Rakim, KRS-One, and other legends we covered in our 2 previous Golden Age videos. These pioneers helped shape the foundation of East Coast hip-hop, so if you want a full breakdown of their influence, don't miss that episodes. The introspective dimension of the East Coast wasn't reflected only in music. Cultural elements like breakdancing, graffiti, and DJing remained strong, but lyricism became the central form of expression. The message was clear. Hip-hop was not just entertainment, it was a document of its time, a mirror of society, and a powerful tool for expressing identity. Throughout the decade, East Coast hip-hop grew through creative rivalries, both internal, within New York, for example Queensbridge versus Brooklyn, and external, against the West Coast. These rivalries weren't just sources of tension, but also fuel for artistic growth. MCs, under pressure, created sharper lyrics, more complex rhymes, and more innovative productions. By the end of the 1990s, the East Coast had left a legacy that still resonates today. Lyrical power, the iconic boom-bap sound, a culture of collective creation, and the ability to tell real-life stories through music. Every song was a chronicle, every rhyme a story of survival, strength, and the creative spirit of urban life. And as the decade closed, one thing became clear. The East Coast didn't just shape hip-hop, it set the standard for generations to come. Its voice still reverberates through the culture, a reminder that hip-hop's truest roots will always run through New York streets.